everybody. I'm Jessica Sacheret. Thanks for joining us today for Higher Ed Matters. I'm super excited to have our guest today from Maryville University, my alma mater. I have Blake and Cece. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, but these folks are the leaders of the student-led content generation team for social media, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I guess I'll start. I'm Cece. I'm a fourth-year strategic communications major with a minor in marketing. I had a great opportunity with the apprenticeship program here at Maryville to get this role as a digital engagement specialist with the admissions team, and I've just loved kind of implementing new strategies throughout Zeme, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram mostly, and just really building on what they already had and trying to kind of capture what it is like to be a student here, as well as, answering questions and just giving them everything they need to know before students really know, do I want to come here?
For sure.
Yeah. My name is Blake Huster. I am an assistant director of admissions at Maryville University. I am also a Maryville University grad, so I'm the most recent grad in our office, graduated with my bachelor's of science in cybersecurity. And now have the opportunity to work in admissions. And then I was tapped in by my lovely boss to kind of represent the team that we call SMOOP, which is our social media outreach and university programming team. So
Perfect.
There's two of us from the professional staff side that sit on here, and then I think 6 of us students that sit on this program and team that we have to kind of focus on that experience and outreach for students.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
Love the name.
Yeah.
Maryville does a great job at naming things.
Yeah,
to
we
be
try
perfectly
hard.
honest. But this is something that we've talked with a lot of our clients about. In terms of like how do you engage your actual students? To really tell those stories about the student experience. There's sometimes hesitation on the control part of in terms of the stories that they will tell. There's all kinds of things that I think that college and university administrators think are going to go wrong with, a student-led content team. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. Like, what were the kind of early conversations of putting this student team together, and what kind of how did you outline the plan?
Yeah, so I think when I initially started in the office, that our team got together kind of post-retreat, and there was a big emphasis on social media presence. We needed the opportunity for students, especially coming out of the pandemic, if they were still not feeling comfortable of coming to our campus, if we didn't know with just local ordinances and different stuff like that, if students were going to be allowed to come to our campus. Well, here we have a free way of recruiting students and seeing the experience that I got to experience as a student and that everybody's experiencing as a student. So we really wanted to lean into that and really kind of increase our presence so that even if you're around the world somewhere, you could see Maryville just at your phone. And we know from me being a past student and a lot of the students that work inside of our office that we are spending a lot of time on our phones. And so how we get material there that's beneficial for the recruitment process was really important to us. And so we just had to look at ways, and the apprentice program was opening up at Maryville. And so we decided that would be the main focus of our apprentice, and we opened up applications. And then we found Cece from the communications program, and then she kind of took it off to all the next levels after that.
Awesome. So what were your initial steps?
Yeah, so I would say I jumped in a little late. I think I started beginning of September, and they were kind of already putting what they wanted to see in place. And I just got off a summer internship doing a lot of social media, TikToks. I learned the ins and outs of editing, captions, trends, everything like that. So I think they were very excited to hear like, wow, this is someone who already kind of knows what is happening, and someone who's going to automatically kind of be in that age range where I still know what I'd like to see, so I can kind of implement that. And then as far as like influencers go, I've definitely grown up in the age of influencers.
Right.
So I kind of know like, why do I like the people that I watch, and try to get our influencers at Maryville, including myself. Like, why are people going to tune in and care about what we're doing? So I think that was definitely some of the first things that we talked about, just how to get people to care and tune in.
Very cool. Were there any conversations about concern on student generated content.
Yeah.
Are there rules that you've put in place? Like, tell me a little bit about the training, maybe,
Yeah.
that goes into kind of sending students on their way to help you generate that content.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of take it from my point of view. So, as I mentioned, Smoop, we meet with Cece once a week. And now it's just three of us in the meeting, two professional staffs and Cece. And we just kind of talk about what are important dates going on right
Mm-hmm.
now. And the biggest thing that we wanted to focus on is making sure that Cece and our influencers understood where we were in the recruitment cycle. Like, there's obviously a clear process and clear timelines that we're working through. And to get them to also understand our process of what we were doing to help benefit what content they were making. We do not have, I don't think, and I'll let Cece talk on a little bit more, a ton of rules or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, because really our thought process is, well, first of all, we think we have amazing influencers. So we started with the
Sure.
quality of person that we were finding.
Absolutely.
They were already, a lot of them were already pack leaders or our tour guides, or there are students that were already talking up Maryville to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the nicest thing is you got to find the right people to represent your university and that you can trust with that. But the second part of it was we kind of had to step back and say, people can already post on their Instagram and Facebook and Twitter if they want to already. Now we're just asking them to do it at the benefit of Maryville, the place that they love. And we think as a staff and from my experience as being a student is it's not hard for me to recruit students to Maryville. And I say this in my presentation because I had an amazing experience at Maryville. And so a lot of students are having that same amazing experience. And so we just want to lean into that.
I love what you mentioned, Blake, about just talking about getting people who you can trust in the first place. Like when you know that they have your best interest, it's like you don't really have to worry about that. And so as I am an influencer, I also oversee influencers. I kind of review what they're going to post. And then also the nice thing about our app, Zeme, is that I'm an admin on there. So if I see anything that I'm like, this isn't really, standard, which I haven't even had to deal with.
Right.
From like if our influencers were to post something, I can just literally click delete and it's like nothing ever happened. So I have the access to do that.
Sure.
I haven't had to use that, but I definitely think with like Smoop and how we have a group chat, we're constantly communicating about, hey, like I'd really like to see you guys do this, post about this, pick a couple of upcoming events that you want to highlight and that you're passionate about. So when they go there, it's just easy for them to maybe snap a quick video or picture, just explaining what it is and just watching them have fun with it.
Does your student team, kind of package up those that content that they create, or does it come to the both of you to kind of then turn it into a post?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on Zeme, it's more organic content just from them. Yeah. It's meant to be very relaxed, no special lighting. One of our influencers, Ray, we were watching something that he posted yesterday, and he was literally walking out of his dorm room and walking to class or whatever he was doing, and he was just on the way explaining, oh, this is why I like Maryville. He runs into a friend or other influencer. He's like, hey, Cam, what's up? And it's just casual like that. So they can really see the day-to-day life.
So organic.
Of the student.
Exactly. So organic. I will say there is a little bit of a divide. So for TikTok, Instagram, those two social media platforms, it goes through Cece. She posts it. Except for we've kind of been empowering our influencers a little bit more now, which is kind of exciting on twofold is like Cam and Megan and a few of our influencers, they're posting it to their personal account and tagging us. So they're taking the credit of like, well, we created this content. This is truly what we're talking about. And then we just reshare that. And so we're happy to take that on as well. And I think that's where our influencers are expanding a little bit, which we love to see. But for Zeme, you're right. It is just completely organic. We don't want it to look staged. We don't tell you what you're supposed to be capturing or when you're supposed to be capturing it. We do ask our influencers when we started out to kind of let's get on a pattern of some sort, get on a routine so that they can get to know you. But now these influencers are connected to our incoming students, and these incoming students feel like they know our influencers as well. And we're seeing that at events as well. University scholars, they were looking for our influencers. They were excited to see Cece. They were excited to meet Ray. Like they have built a bond through social media. And I think that was our biggest hurdle, especially before we brought on CC, was as we were talking to Smoop, we're like, this is just such a huge undertaking. Like, how do we make these big productions and everything
Right.
like that? And it turned out to be, you just got to lean into it
Right.
and capture what you're already doing. And that's what our influencers do amazing. They're already at the basketball games. They're already at those events. Now they're just taking 30 seconds or a photo and posting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. I love how you're kind of talking through this because, brand ambassadors have always been part of an admissions office.
Yeah.
They've just been tour guides,
Right.
but we've always had to place trust in current
Yeah.
students to tell their stories to prospective families. It's just now doing that same thing, but through a different lens using social media and influencers. So it's so cool that you've built this sort of strategy. So you've mentioned Zemi a couple of times.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that platform?
Yes. So this is our first year partnering with Zemi, which is an amazing application. It's on all of your app stores. And if as an admissions counselor side of things, like we should be recommending to prospective students to be checking out Zemi because it's such an organic way for them to meet and interact with other prospective students also interested in your university. And what I tell families is Zemi is not me selling the university to you every single day. It's your opportunity to chat with other people that are also interested in that university, kind of get that behind the scenes information, as well as meet and connect with our influencers. So the best way to explain Zemi, in my opinion, I'm sorry, Zemi, if you're listening to this and you don't agree with it, Instagram meets GroupMe, and that's where it's at. So you have the group chat features, you have the Instagram social media feed. It's combined both, and I think there's amazing opportunities in there.
I agree with that totally. I've used Instagram and GroupMe, and it definitely just kind of merges the two. Just the opportunities with the different group chats. Like Blake said, it kind of just puts everything you need for like questions wise and kind of that interactive thing and just all in one area.
So you mentioned Facebook, and that just talking about it, like we used to use like a Facebook group. Are you using Facebook at all in these? Are you posting content on Facebook? Do you find that your prospective students are there?
We are posting on Facebook. I would say it's more parents
Mhm.
on there. And then kind of what we've seen is, a parent sees this. It might be a student that's maybe not as on top of things and is like, hey, like this event is coming up. Like it would be really good for you to see that. But we definitely see most of our engagement on Instagram where actual students are on and searching for those different event programs and just the day-to-day life type of things.
And when we talk about content creation too, we target different audiences with all of our content creation. We do something every Monday, which I think the reason why we haven't done this like 10 years ago makes no sense to me. But every Monday, we took videos that professors, faculty, staff made of their programs that sit on our website. And we took those and we posted them as a video on our Instagram, and we just call it Major Mondays. And so if they want to learn more, it's a quick 3-minute video, right? They're pretty short.
Yep.
I think those get a lot of attraction on Facebook because I think the audience for that as well, the parents do care about what's happening in the classroom and like they're really interested in what we're learning and different stuff like that. And so it's a really nice way to build out our archive on Instagram as well as all the majors that we offer. So I just thought of that right then.
No, 100%. And it's such a big like deal of finding out what you want to do, especially like these 17, 18-year-old kids. And if the parents kind of have that insight too of, wow, like this looks like a really good opportunity. And they might be like, see something in their kid that the kid doesn't even see, like you're really good at math or you're really good at these organizational skills. Like this is a good opportunity for you. So like, even though it might not have as much engagement as our Instagram, it still gives us that other opportunity to maybe reach someone else. And, even if we can reach one extra person, I mean, that's building Maryville. So.
Right. And I think that kind of just helps us change the vocabulary a little bit. Like especially when I'm at college fairs and stuff, more of the vocabulary that I'm looking for is what are you passionate about? Not necessarily like, especially like when we have juniors and sophomores coming up to our tables, it's not necessarily like, what do you want your major to be? Like you're 15, 16, 17 years old. How do we know what you want to do for the rest of your life? So asking what you're passionate about helps me figure out what the best major is. And so I think that's what really helps about those Major Monday videos as well.
Yeah. Do you have kind of like pillars that you use for content, like so that you make sure that you're kind of checking the boxes from residential life and majors and other things that you make sure that you're kind of like not always generating kind of the same type of content or covering the same kind of thing? Like how do you kind of manage making sure that you're kind of hitting all the bases for all types of students?
Yeah, so we have Major Mondays, which
Right.
is routine. And then my favorite is Tuesday Talks with Travis and Blake.
Oh,
So
nice.
Travis is another one of our assistant directors of admissions. And this was kind of like super laid back. And we just thought of one random Tuesday and we're like, let's do this. And so basically, we sat down and said, what are the questions that we're getting emailed every day? Like, what are the questions that we're routinely getting right now? And so Cece acts like the student she is and asks us the question. And me and Travis are this pretend newscasters. And sometimes we get fun with it. Like I remember we were walking down and she's recording us and backing up. And we do those on our stories for Tuesday Talks with Travis. So that one, Tuesday Talks with Travis.
Yeah, and we also started a couple weeks back the featured student kind of thing. So it's Future Saint Saturday, and so we just asked, committed students to um just send in, a picture of them, their major, hometown, what they're most excited and looking for forward to going to Maryville. And it's just a nice way to showcase. And then what they don't know also is we post it on our feed, our story, they share it, some of their friends see it, and they might also, give it a like, give it more engagement. And we've had decent success with that. And then I think also just through posting our TikToks, those are easy just to switch up what they're about because depending on what the trend is, it might be more like a student experience, what's on Maryville's campus, different scholarship opportunities. Like that's the great thing about the trends is that it could be the most random sound and then you can just kind of get creative with it and
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
how could this kind of match up with that? So yes, we have series, but if it was just this same post every Monday, this same post every
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, type of thing, it's like it would be too predictable. And that's what I think I love so much about TikTok and Instagram Reels is that it could be a random video about whatever. And I think people keep coming back because, or they want to follow because of just kind of that interesting, quirky content that we have been putting out for a while now.
Yeah, I think that what you're talking about is very similar to how we might, help our clients get an organic kind of strategy together. Having those content pillars or those predictable posts help you to kind of create some of your content while also leaving room in the overall strategy to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
But you mentioned TikTok, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. I'm one of the old people that doesn't really understand it, right? Like it's not necessarily, I mean, I do, it's not that I haven't, had my, 2 hour scroll fest
Yep.
through random TikToks, but talk to me about how you're using it and how this particular platform, works for, spreading awareness, building affinity, whatever it might be for prospective students.
Like I mentioned, over the summer, I did have a different internship back home, and that's kind of where I got into the thick of it of just how does this work? How can you kind of direct your audience? And I think the tricky thing about TikTok is that especially when you are doing it for admissions at a certain university. So Maryville, for example, your audience is pretty slim
Yeah.
and you're trying to make things that are relatable but also appropriate for admissions to post.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes it really tricky to kind of find what's funny, what's going to kind of get that traction from other people, even if they might not even be interested in going to a small private school in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that from my experience in the past, you have to be particular, but you want to be also broad enough where it can reach other audiences. And I think with what we're doing and using the trending, sounds, hashtags, and stuff like that, it will show up on other people's, For You pages as long as the people that do follow us as well. I think right now we're mainly using it to obviously build out that feed and as a great editing place for what we also post on Instagram Reels, just because I'm very comfortable and familiar with it. So I know, how to cut different clips from it and just how to search so easily, like what the trending things are. So I would say that's mostly what we use it for right now.
Yeah, I kind of thought of two pieces of advice. Like I'm not a big TikTok user. I'm not a big social media person. I've been expanding a little bit. But I think the two biggest things, especially from like the professional staff side of things, is like something that Cece had to teach a lot of us is you have to be okay and get your staff on board of like, we set aside 3 hours one day to record material. And it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's really fun. But it's like, I'll use an example with Dr. York. We went over there to film some recruitment material on something completely different. And he was like, oh my goodness, I've been seeing your TikToks pop up. Can I do a TikTok with you all? Putting Cece on the spot. She did amazing. We thought of a TikTok to do. And then Dr. York was like, well, what's the caption going to be? Like, what's it going to be? Oh, I don't know. We're going to put this dance that we did together in our archives and in our drafts, and we're just going to hold on to it until it's the right time. And that's what you have to like get to a point of where your understanding is like, a lot of these trending sounds are trending dances or something that you're doing. And a lot of times when we record them, I would say we have probably like 10 or 15 ready to go that we have no captions for. We have no idea where we're going to use it. But when the time's right, you know it's right. And I think that's the one big thing that you kind of have to get used to. And then the second thing is just being open-minded to the concept and idea and really just taking it step by step. I remember when we sat down before we had Cece, and I was like, this is a whole nother job. Like, I have a territory to take care of. I have students to take care of. Yeah. And then it was like, yes, we have amazing help from Cece, but once we started like getting into it and it's just step by step, it doesn't seem so impossible. It's like, what's just the next step of what you have to do? And we had university scholars this year. We did interviews via Zoom. We did the experience day in person. Me and Lacey are sitting on Zoom. They're interviewing, right? And I'm scrolling Instagram and I saw this fun little video on Instagram. And I was like, you know what, Lacey, we're doing this right now on Zoom. We're going to figure this out and we're going to do it. And what does that video have? Like close to 5,000 views now.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite videos on Instagram just because I created it. But what was amazing about that one is then it opened up a whole nother side of Instagram for me. The algorithm figured out that I was wanting tutorials on how to do other cool videos. And so now I see tutorials on other cool videos. And that video probably took me 10 minutes. I downloaded this app that it recommended. It was free. I found 20 photos that I love of Maryville, which we all have an arsenal of photos of what we love about Maryville. And it was like, and it had a 30-second sound. And 15 minutes later, I posted an Instagram reel that now has more than 5,000 views and 100 or so likes.
It was a really good video. I remember it was during a snow day. Yeah. And literally the previous day, they're like, no, Cece, like, you're the only one who posts. So, like, nothing's going out if you don't post anything. I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm just scrolling through my Instagram on the snow day. I'm like, Maryville, you admit, wait, where did this post come out? I was like, I did not make that video. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it's one of our most successful videos. Like Blake said, like, it's honestly just learning what's going to work. And he also mentioned like setting aside time for filming. I thought it was so funny. I think one day we set aside like an hour and a half and we're like, oh, we're going to get all 6 of these TikTok videos done.
Right.
We got 2 done. And I'm like, all right, I'll come in tomorrow on my off day and I'll set aside another 2 hours to finish the rest. But it definitely can take some time, especially like the wording to different sounds. Like you think it's so easy when you listen to it, and then you get in front of the camera and you're like, this is
trying to lip sync and it's like, nope, that ain't happening. Like, where is this timing coming from, TikTok?
People are like on the side like counting 1, 2, 3. Like it's like a whole team thing. So
honestly, if anything, if you're talking to clients, be like, if you need good team bonding, just venture into TikTok because we laugh so hard when we're making TikToks and Instagrams and stuff because there are some of us that have rhythm and have beats and can do that. And then there's people like me that can't keep time to save my life.
Yeah, so. He got kicked out a lot of the dancing.
I did, which is perfectly fine. It does not hurt my feelings.
Yeah, you've got your niche, you know.
But I think I'm the favorite admissions counselor, so it doesn't matter.
Right, you can claim that, right? We often will, we'll get questions from administrators like, how much should we invest in TikTok? Because, we run a lot of like paid campaigns, for clients on Facebook and Instagram, and we've also run paid campaigns on TikTok. But what we will often say is like, honestly, your first step with TikTok is a time and talent investment, right? Like you kind of have to have someone available, that knows the platform, that has the time to do that content creation, because it's not as easy as a Facebook post, right? Like a Facebook post with an image and some text and whatever. It's a whole process, it seems like. Is that accurate?
We had this conversation right as Cece was coming on board with us, is like, and the big thing that we figured out too is like we do pay to run campaigns and stuff on Facebook, Instagram, all of those. The reason I know why is still I sometimes get some ads of a video of me popping up on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. But then the question really falls back onto the client of like, okay, let's say the ad works and they go to your landing page, go to your homepage. What content are they creating? And what, I always say vibe. What vibe is your page giving off? And that's what we really wanted to work out with Cece, is we wanted more of a uniformed appearance. When you land at Maryville You Admit on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or any of those, what are you picking up? Like, what does it look like when you scroll? If you do the hour and scroll all of our videos, what are you picking up? And we really wanted to focus on that student experience of our campus, how beautiful our campus was, and then kind of supplement that with learning about it. And so that's always my thing too, is like, that was the part that we were not so much worried about doing the paid advertising side of things. Our focus was, okay, when the paid advertising works, what are they seeing when they get back to our page? What is step 2? Paid advertising worked. It got in front of them. They took step 2. They clicked it. Now what are they seeing? Can we get them to step 3 of touring our campus? And it really turned into, now we're using our social media, a part of our inquiry path of getting you to campus and getting you to those next stages.
I definitely think that's something I really wanted to focus on. So when I first got on the team and I was just looking through the Instagram, trying to get like a feel for it, I couldn't really get a feel for what the purpose was. Okay. A lot of things were, older, or, one post would be about like a random spring break post with a picture of the Maryville College thing, like at the center of campus. And then the next would be like someone with a check,
scholarship winner.
And I was just like, okay, like if I was an incoming student, what would I want to see? And what would I think about this Instagram page if I came to look? So I definitely think the time that we put in to kind of get those uniform posts, as well as just higher quality images that we got luckily from Chris Reimer, one of the like main photographer, videographer at Maryville, just really enhanced the experience that people had when going on our Instagram. And now like we'll have those posts and then the reels and everything. It just is so much more uniform, and they're like, okay, I get the point. Like they're showing us the different majors, they're showing us the influencers, they're showing us the different campus events, and it's kind of just a lot more uniform.
Yeah. And you mentioned Chris, and I've seen him in some TikToks. And I know Chris, he's a great guy, does a great job. But I also noticed that there's 2 TikToks anyway, like there's 2, and there's 2 Instagrams and all of that kind of stuff. So how do those 2, the entities that are kind of ran through the marketing office versus through the admissions office, how does that kind of intersect and separate based on the audience?
And we still have this conversation today. We talk about it every week of how we overlap and how those things work. But we also have to understand that the Maryville You Admit page is for inquiring students, prospective students. I mean, we have a specific niche. Like we have a small clientele of students that we're trying to hit and their family members, where Maryville U, the main page, also has to focus on alumni and just around campus. And they have a bigger audience, which is great. We work hand in hand with each other. They repost a lot of our stuff. They share a lot of our stuff. And we also repost a lot of their stuff. But really, when we started this, it was like this back and forth of like, well, where do you step in and where do we step in? Right. Typically, for a lot of our stuff, our video stuff, we would send a request up to marketing, which is funny because they're literally above us. So we'd send it up to marketing. They would give us a timeline of how long it took, and then we would get something back. And these were productions. And that's where I think that's the difference, is our stuff is not productions. And even we worked on a different project that's not on Instagram or anything yet. Probably will be soon. But that all those video shoots and everything were shot by us, me, Cece, and one other person in our office. And then we had that conversation of marketing of like, well, marketing was like, since it's not quite done by us, we want to brand it a little bit differently. So we have our own intro and our own outro for all of our video productions that we do, so that you actually can distinguish between, oh, this is a Maryville U admissions production, and then there's a Maryville U production. And it is working closely with them. We get a lot of stuff that they've already shot and stuff. You work closer with Chris than I do. So how do you kind of work with him on getting material and stuff?
Definitely. So, if there's like an event and normally gets posted on the main Maryville U Instagram, I normally just send him an email and he's like, yeah, sure. Sends me the link to the video and we can repost it or even take like clips of it so we can make it a TikTok. So it is a little bit different. I think kind of what we mentioned before is like we have a $20 stabilizer. And I think people appreciate how just organic, like we said before, it is. And we're not trying to be some fancy, whatever, but it's entertaining and it shows our influencers, shows our office. And definitely I think people have the need to follow both because, like I said, we kind of got our purpose in what we're trying to do down more. So the content is different, even if there's a couple overlapping things. But I know they've enjoyed, sharing on their story, our different TikToks, because that's kind of more casual than what they'd post on their feed. But they enjoy posting it on their story. So,
and we have no goal to become a big time production either. Like I don't ever predict Maryville U Admissions having their own videography team. Like, what we do and the way that it's working organically is beautiful. It's perfect for what we need for our students.
Yeah, awesome. What is the sort of like what you would consider your most successful channel? Like what is performing the best, like channel wise, in terms of the content that you create?
Yeah, I definitely think Instagram is our biggest platform, social media wise. Obviously, Zeme, there's people chatting in there every day. Blake can fill you in more on the numbers. But like our engagement on our reels is great. Most of them are reaching 2,000 to 3,000 views, and then about 1,000 to 2,000 accounts depending on what the video is, and people are liking it. Maryville has so many different channels. All the different sports teams have an Instagram, clubs, and a lot of times multiple of those different accounts will share it. So then that in hand shares and gets more people to our page. So I definitely think that is where we've really grown. And even since me being here, we've grown by over 200 followers on Instagram, which I think is pretty impressive. And we have Zeme to thank for that as well, because kind of everything we put out head to our Instagram page to see the full video. We might post like a little teaser, but Zeme definitely has some limitations on what you can do. So it's perfect to just kind of get that snippet of what they can see. And it's definitely drove a ton of followers and just overall engagement to our page.
And we're also seeing, in Zeme, so we have about, I think, 2,800, close to 3,000 fall 2022 students engaging with our channel on Zeme. On average, I think last I checked, out of the fall 2022 class that we're currently recruiting, those students are spending closer to 30 minutes a day on our channel in Zeme. Wow. Chatting with other people. From week to week, we see 5,000 plus messages being sent in Zeme, either in the group or direct messages to each other. And so we're building that hype for them. And I think it's nice that we can also supplement that with our Instagram and everything. And so I think Zeme is really nice for them to get to know each other. But I think our Instagram is, like Cece said, and our TikTok is where we're doing that wide net push out to everybody to kind of get really Maryville University as a university out there to more people.
For sure, the awareness piece, the people that Maryville's not already part of the consideration set, right? Okay, well, this has been an awesome conversation to close this up, right? Because I think that the folks that are going to listen to this episode hopefully are kind of in that stage of, how could we get this rolling forward? Not necessarily just TikTok, but really a student-led kind of team that is kind of responsible for putting content out there in the world on social channels. What's your best advice that you would give to that person that's got this on their plate to start a group like this?
Yeah, I think something that we had to learn early on is make realistic goals. I mean, we all talk about SMART goals, and realistic is one of those.
Right.
And I think even I was a little naive about when we started, like, oh, I bet you this video gets like 5 million views. Like, I bet we are going to kill it. And it's like, but then you find once you make realistic goals, like our 5,000 view videos on 1:15, I think, what's the statistic right now? 7 seconds or less is what we need to be targeting right now. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it changes, but
Yeah.
at one point it was like 7 seconds with words on the screen that go longer than 7 seconds, so they have to watch it again because
Yes.
it's all about like
Yes.
the algorithm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So-
So I think for that, it's amazing. And I think the other thing is you have to lean into it as a staff. And like our CC is our only student that is paid through the universe or is paid to do this job.
Mhm.
So we have 5, 6 influencers that volunteer to do this.
Okay.
And they are out there and you can do it. And we thought it was crazy to begin with. And then the other thing that's been hard for us recently is like stick to the smaller group of influencers. Let the students get to know who these people are and let them get excited about knowing their stories, those influencer stories, and building those connections. And that's what we've seen has been really, really successful with our influencers.
Mhm.
Ray, Megan, Sophia, Cam, Cece. You feel like you know them. You feel like you have been their friend before you even have met them in person. And so
Right.
that's what I will always stick to. Find those students, and then it'll all go from there.
100%. I think going off the influencers, less is more.
Yeah.
I remember we had so many conversations with why wouldn't we have 20? Because then we know there's gonna be content daily for
Right.
everyone to engage with. And I was like, yeah, but then that's not an influencer. I was like, people need to connect on a personal level and know about them because once again, I thought back, why do I care about influencers that I watch? Because I knew them as a person first. I cared about their opinion before it became associated with Maryville, associated with whatever brand they were working with. So I was like, no, we need to stick with the people that we have and just build the relationship with that. I would say another thing of just social media, really anything you do in general is consistency.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot expect to build a following by posting once a week, once every 2 weeks. Like, it is a full-on job, and that's why, I was hired on. But posting, at least 3 times a week is what makes people want to tune in, because it kind of sounds silly, but it's like, is this account worth my follow? Is honestly
Yeah.
what people think. Because I've thought that personally as well. And a lot of this
Yeah.
job relates back to, well, what do I think? Because I'm right in the generation that I'm working for and trying to, kind of please. So it's
Sure.
like, whenever I see an account and I'm like, I click on maybe a story and it's really interesting, but then I click on their feed and I'm like, this isn't what that looks like. And I'm like, I know Blake's nodding his head. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, it's not worth the follow to me. So I'm like, making everything we do kind of worth the follow, whether it be entertainment, how neat and nice it looks, photos of real people, like, and just building on what we have too. Like, I'm really excited to build our influencers profiles kind of more on our Instagram is an idea that I've had recently, and I hope to kind of build on that, because right now they're mostly on Zemi. They can click on the profiles there, but I'm like, I think it would be great to click on our Instagram and have a highlight in our stories of our influencers and some quick facts about them, their majors and stuff like that, so that they're also on that platform, because they are seen on all of our different platforms, but just kind of that formal kind of introduction. But definitely consistency, and just knowing that it does take a lot of time and patience. And like Blake said, it's like you feel like it's easy for a video to blow up on TikTok or something like that, but it's really not. And you have to be okay with, with just reaching a certain amount of people that it really relates to.
Our goal at the end has changed to, if one student says that they are coming to Maryville to an event or something because they saw it on Instagram, Zemi, or TikTok, it's now been worth it. That is
sure.
one more student that we probably would not have gotten to our campus. And that's what makes it worth it, because I think University Scholars, 6 months after we adopted Zemi and really started the whole SMOOP team, was when we started seeing that. It was like, hundreds of families were coming to campus, and the connections that they were having with our influencers was like, all right, this is what's made it worth it.
Yeah, and all for free, basically. I mean,
Right.
I'm the only one being paid, but it's all that free media that you get through social media sites, and just to be able to capitalize on it is really important this day and age, because it is expensive, and to pick and choose what you do want to pay for can be difficult, because you might pay for something and it might not be what people want. So being able to kind of test out what works best, I think has also worked for us.
And just jump on the train of understanding, especially in university recruitment, that student experience is really, really important to the recruitment process. That is what we have seen. Especially like a business degree is a business degree, and you have the option to get a business degree a lot of places.
Sure.
So what is making us stand out with our business degree than somebody else's business degree? And a lot of that has to do with the experience that we can give you on and off campus. And that is what I am truly passionate about as a recruiter and as an assistant director. And I think that's where we've been showcasing that on our social media.
The way that you guys have kind of framed this conversation, again, like, I was an admissions counselor years ago, but, talking about these students as influencers is interesting, because, 15 or whatever years ago, when we would start to think about how we could get student stories out there, that was back in the day of blogs. Like there were student bloggers, and you would have it on the website, and students could subscribe to that blog. But social media has now given you basically a similar type of opportunity, or the way that you're using it to kind of put these influencers out there to tell the story from a student perspective is so much more powerful, because it feels so much more personal, and it feels like unpolished by the university. Because I think that even blogs themselves, if they're on the website, like you feel like those have been like edited to,
How many revisions did that go through?
There's that, even if they didn't, there's the perception that it's a marketing piece and not this organic message.
I think something to really frame it really well is our goal is to create curiosity.
Nice.
And so I think that's what a lot of our videos do, is like create that curiosity to make them want to learn more about us as a university and that experience and everything. So
awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much. This has been so great to talk, through this with you and learn a little bit more about how you've put this together. I love watching you on all social media. Now I'm gonna, I got to get into all these influencers. So I'm glad that you are gonna put them on Instagram so I can see them.
Yeah, I'm really excited. But thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
it was great just kind of talking over what we've done, and it's probably given us other ideas as well.
Right.
So
yeah, seriously, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Blake. Thanks, Cece.